Hey everyone, welcome to Board Game Essentials. My name's Connor. Today I'm going to be teaching you Conquest of Speros.
Hold on.
What?
I got this.
Wait, why?
I got this. Get out of here. Get out of here. I got it.
What do you mean?
Welcome to Board Game Essentials. I'm Evan. Today I'm going to be teaching you Conquest of Speros. In this game, you're going to be controlling a faction in order to conquer land, secure resources, and accomplish strategic objectives. Let me show you how to play. The objective of the game is to score the most victory points by capturing locations and strategically placing units while moving and destroying opponents. Let's go over the setup of the game. The play area layout is as follows. This whole area is the battlefield, and this area is the skirmish area. This is the deck and where the discard pile will go. Down here is your base camp and your general card, and right above it will be your captured area. Each player chooses a color, then takes the 11 wooden unit pieces, the base camp card, and the general card of their color. Place the general next to the base camp and the units on the base camp. Each general has 2 abilities on its card. One of them can be used once per game, so choose when to use it wisely. Shuffle the 17 bonus objective cards and deal 3 to each player. Keep these hidden from other players. They will come into play when scoring at the end of the game. Shuffle the location cards to form a shared deck and place it here. Deal 8 cards to each player. Those cards form the player's hand. Then each player takes 1 location card from their hand and places it in the skirmish area. So, I'm going to do that now. I'll just take the top card from each, put 1 there, we'll put 1 there, and we'll put 1 there. So this is the starting skirmish area. Shuffle the Ancient Artifact deck and place a number equal to the amount of players into the skirmish area. The rest will not be used. We've done this already. We have a 3-player game, so we have 1, 2, 3 artifact cards. If playing with the mastery objectives, deal 1 fewer card than the number of players to the center of the table. That's these 2 up here. These are shared objectives available to all players. Randomly determine the starting player, and you're ready to play. Starting with the first player and going clockwise, a player must complete the following 3 steps in order on their turn: the discard step, the ability step, and the action step. During the discard step, a player chooses 1 card from his or her hand and discards it to the shared discard pile. In the ability step, if the card discarded has a written ability, the player may perform that ability. Let's say the green player decides to discard this card. Now, its ability is Reconnaissance, which means he can draw a card. So, he's going to do it instantly and put it right into his deck. If an ability instructs a player to perform an action which is currently impossible, he or she ignores the impossible aspect of the ability. For instance, if you have the Reinforcements card, it says move a minion you control that is on the battlefield to any open encampment. Well, if you discard it and you don't have any minions on the battlefield yet, then you can't do it. It's impossible. You still discard it, but you don't do the effect. Next is the action step. There are 4 actions a player can perform: explore, attack, lead, or plan. Several of these actions involve deploying units. To deploy a unit, a player moves it from his or her base camp into an unoccupied encampment in the skirmish area. Like so. Exploring. Put a location card from your hand into the skirmish area. If the location's color does not match your faction's color, deploy 1 unit to that location. If the location's color does match your faction's, do not deploy a minion with this action. Next, you can attack, which is simply deploying 1 of your minions to any location in the skirmish area. Next is you can lead. To lead, you deploy your general to any location in the skirmish area. If that location has a remaining unoccupied encampment, you may also deploy 1 of your minions to that location. If she wanted to go to this ocean here, she put her general there and lead with another little minion. So it's 2 in 1 turn. Pretty cool. Next, you can plan, which is draw 3 cards from the shared location deck. Additionally, if a player starts his or her turn without any cards, they draw 2 cards and skip the rest of their turn. And if a player ends their turn with more than 10 cards, they must discard back down to 10. You're probably wondering, what's a location card? This is a location card. Here you will be deploying your units to ensure a swift and unrelenting victory. Each card is set up in a similar fashion. Here's the location type. There are 4 types of locations: forest, mountain, ocean, and swamp. Each type corresponds with one of the 4 colors and to each race. These are encampments. This is where you will be placing your units. The number of encampments will vary from one card to the next. This is the discard ability. Most, but not all locations also have a discard ability that can be used during the discard step. Personally, the strategy behind the discard step is my favorite part of the game. Down on the bottom left is the resource. Each location has one of 3 resources: crystal, iron, and gold. Lastly is the victory point value. This tells you how many victory points it's worth at the end of the game for the captured card. Now that you've seen the card, let's go over how to capture it. Capturing locations is the most important part of the game. This is how you get your victory points, people. When a player captures a location, the player moves that location from the skirmish area to his or her capture area. All units remain on the card, even other factions. There are 2 ways to capture a location: achieve majority or demonstrate majority. To achieve majority, when a location has no unoccupied spaces remaining, the player with the most units deployed on that location has achieved majority and has captured the card. We get a little further in the game. Swamp Guy here has put one of his little meeples on the ocean card. Now, you might think he's going to get that card because he put it on there, but no. She has majority, so that card is captured and goes directly down to her. And all these guys stay there. Everyone stays there. In the case of a tie, the player to have most recently placed a unit on that location captures the card. If you have a 4-1 here, right, and we have 2 green, a blue, right, and then she decides to put another blue on there for one of her next turns, she's going to get that card. Because, although it's a tie, she put the last one down there, so she's going to get that. Next is demonstrating majority. A player demonstrates majority when he or she would achieve majority even if all the locations remaining unoccupied spaces were occupied by another player's units. Let's say Swamp Guy leads here, and he has these 2 here. He's allowed to claim that he is demonstrating majority and he can capture that card, even with the open space on it. Players cannot perform the attack or lead actions on locations in player's captured area, but units on captured cards may still be affected by card abilities. This is still open, but these 2 and him, they cannot attack this one to put another person there. But if someone gets an obliterate card, which lets you remove the target minion that is on a card that matches your color from the game, that can be done to one of these. So if she doesn't like that Swamp Guy is on her card, she can obliterate him with a discard action and remove him from the game. Just so it looks nicer, I'm going to put more cards out. Look at that. Looks a lot prettier now, right? Let's go over ancient artifacts. You should treat capturing ancient artifacts as locations in every single way except the following. When a player captures an artifact, all other players return their units developed to that card to their base camps. Then that player moves the artifact into their captured area. If an ability targets a location, it may not target an artifact. The units on an artifact are locked and cannot be moved, obliterated, or destroyed. Ancient artifact cards have excavate and capture abilities. Excavating is when a player places their unit on an artifact. That player may benefit from the excavate ability and may only take that action once per turn, even if multiple units are on the artifact. When a player captures the artifact, they may benefit from the capture ability. There are 3 symbols. Lightning bolts are a one-time use, infinity symbols are ongoing, and the recycle symbol is reusable. So, let's say green guy over here decides to attack here at this ancient artifact. First thing he's going to do is get this excavate ability where he's going to be able to draw a card. Look at that. Right from there into his hand. Then, let's say as the game goes on, he gets more people on there. Green is demonstrating majority. So, What he's going to do is capture this and put it here. This blue one is going to go back to her base camp, and he's going to be able to do the capture ability, which is when taking the plan action, you may draw 4 cards instead of 3 and place 1 card from your hand at the bottom of the deck. So, it's very useful, and it's worth 3 victory points. To end the game, if a player starts their turn with no units in his or her base camp, the game immediately ends. Or, when a player draws the last card from the location deck, that player finishes his or her turn, and then each other player takes a final turn. Then we get into scoring. Now each player adds up his or her total victory points. Victory points are awarded as follows. Capture cards are worth whatever value is written on the card. Sets of 3 different resources award 3 victory points each. If there is no set, no additional points are awarded. Deployed minions on familiar terrain, which is a location matching its color, are worth 2 victory points each. Deployed minions on unfamiliar terrain are worth 1 victory point each. Deployed generals on familiar terrain are worth 3 victory points. Deployed generals on unfamiliar terrain are worth 2 victory points. A player selects one of his 3 bonus objectives and adds that to the total. Any units left over in the base camp are worthless and deserve to be cast into the fires of Hades. Add it all up, and the player with the most points wins the game. In the event of a tie, the player with the most captured lands of their own color wins. If there is still a tie, the game is a draw, and I guess you'll just have to play again. You know you want to. Those are all the essentials you need to play.